Hey bookworms, I am back only a couple days after I posted my last video, so ignore what I said at the end about, how I probably won't have anything out next week because I have to figure out my schedule and all that stuff, because apparently this week is BookTubeAthon, and I don't really know how much of this I'm going to accomplish, but I'm going to do my best despite, full-time job makes it a little bit hard to find time at the end of the night when I come home at 7:30 and I have only until midnight to finish the video and edit it and post it, but we'll see how it goes. So right now, I'm starting with my TBR. Some of these were hard for me to pick books for. The spine one, I don't find that I had a ton of pretty spine covers. The ones with green, for some reason, was almost non-existent. But even so, I had a lot of fun trying to pick these ones out. So I guess without further ado, we'll hop right into that. The first challenge, I'm supposed to flip a coin and then choose between two books. So the books that I'm choosing between are Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young and Vasa in the Night by Sarah Porter. So I chose these two even though they are completely different because the titles had the similar kind of phonetic feeling. The Sky in the Deep, Vasa in the Night. I don't know why I liked it so much. So Sky in the Deep, I'm very excited about because it's Vikings and I never get to read about Vikings, and I study medieval history. So I read about all the real Vikings, but there's never any YA fiction fantasy Viking stuff, so I'm pretty psyched about this one. And then Vasa in the Night is like a fairy tale retelling of a Russian fairy tale called Vasilisa the Beautiful, kind of like a twisted tale about a creepy doll. I'm not sure. Every review that I read said it's great if you're down for creepy and weird and you can handle things being a little bit strangely thrown together, and I can handle all of those things. So I'm pretty excited about either one of these. We're going to flip the coin and we'll see which one I get. Alright, so I have my coin here. This is a 5 cent euro from my trip to Portugal 3 years ago that I found on my bedroom floor about 10 minutes ago, so I'm not exactly sure how long it's been there. But we're going to go with it anyway because I don't want to go downstairs and get an actual Canadian coin. We're going to use, we'll use that side. So the 5 with the little globe, we'll call that a face, and we'll do that as Sky in the Deep because it has her face, so that's heads. And then the back, which is a church that says España, so a church in Spain, will be tails, and it'll be Vasa in the Night because swan with the tail, and I need to stop. Alright, so I'm terrible at this. We're going to see, how do you even set it up? It is tails. So that means Vasa in the Night, the creepy, dollish Russian story, will be the first on my list for this week. Alright, so for challenge number 2 was to pick a book that had something that you want to do. Now, my first instinct went to all those crazy fantasies where it's sword fighting and stuff like that, because I want to learn all that basic medieval fighting. I am a complete nerd. You will soon learn. But then I felt like that was too basic. I could pretty much pick any kind of medieval, pseudo-medieval fantasy book and attribute that to that because, oh look, they're fighting with swords. So instead I tried to be a little bit different. Then my instinct was going to be Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett because a girl works in a museum and I've always wanted to work in a museum. And then I realized that I currently work in a museum, and it kind of cancels it out a little bit. So instead, we're going with places that I've always wanted to go. And so for that, we have either Royals by Rachel Hawkins or Colleen Hooke's Reunited. So this one is the finale to the Reawakened series that I started last summer. This finale came out at the end of last summer, but I never had a chance to read it with school and stuff. So this will be kind of finishing off that whole thing. Basically, the premise is Lily, this girl in New York City, kind of unhappy with her life, spends a lot of time at the Met, accidentally awakens an Egyptian mummy. The mummy turns out to be an Egyptian god, and then she's whisked off around with them trying to stop this evil powers of Set, the Egyptian god of chaos. It was really interesting seeing everything sort of pan out. I wasn't so fond of the first one, but the second one really hooked me. A little bit changed and made me not so excited about it, but it seemed to be shaping up. So I am excited to see this one. I just realized I never actually explained why I'm picking this. So all of my life, I've been fascinated by Egyptian history. It's actually one of the reasons that I went into studying history, and I've always wanted to go visit Egypt. Situations had never panned out, then things weren't pretty safe, and a whole lot of other things. So then visiting it through a book is really exciting. So that's something that I've always wanted to do that I've never gotten to do. And then on the other hand, we have Royals. This one is about a girl named Daisy, and Daisy's sister gets engaged to a Scottish prince, and Daisy gets whisked away with her to Scotland, and then sort of seems to be warming up to Prince's little brother. So Egypt I've definitely wanted to go see for longer than Scotland, which makes me kind of hesitant or leaning towards, okay, well I'll do Reunited because that's more of what I want. But then what little girl has not dreamed of becoming a princess or having anything to do with royalty? So I can promise that I definitely have. So then this one sort of like checks off 2 boxes, whereas this one checks off a box that I've wanted for all my life, and I really can't decide. So when next week comes and I finish my first book, then I'm going to start looking at these ones. I think I'll choose then. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments and help me decide. Challenge number 3 is to read a book and then watch the movie adaptation. And I'm so disappointed that all the books that I wanted to read for this, their movies come out too late in August for me to complete the challenge. I was so ready. As soon as I saw it, I was like, Crazy Rich Asians. I've been waiting to read it forever. I finally went to pick up the book. The movie's coming out. I'm like, it's awesome. I will go to the theater. I will watch it right after reading it. I'll come back. I'll review it. Maybe I'll vlog it. Who knows? It'll be grand, except that the movie doesn't come out until August 15th, which means it's post-BookTube, which means I can't do it. So instead, I will be doing Everything by Nicola Yoon. This came out ages ago, then the movie came out last year, and I purchased it, and I intended to read it then. The problem was that I was purchasing it just because the movie had come out, and I don't think I wanted to read the book so much. The premise isn't exactly the usual thing that I'll read, which is not such a big deal. The whole sickness thing or whatever is not generally something that I get into. So it's taken me a while to come back to it. The movie came out, I hadn't had it read, so it just kind of fell under my radar. Now that it's part of the challenge, I can definitely get through this one. It's also pretty short, which will help because my schedule is crazy. So getting through maybe this won't be so difficult. It's a contemporary, which I usually find a lot lighter and I can read more quickly. And a friend of mine owns a movie, so then I'll just borrow it for her and we'll be good to go. So I'm hoping that I enjoy this more than I think I will. The other thing is that I have read a number of spoilers now since the movie came out and everybody started talking about it. And they're like, what do you mean, Brittany, you haven't read it, you haven't seen it? I expected you to have done that before the rest of us. That's the problem, because then everybody tells you the entire plot of the movie, assuming that you already know. So I pretty much know everything that goes on. Again, a little bit of a hindrance, so I'm less excited because I feel like it's not so much new, but I'm definitely excited to see the writing and see the way it was done, and then actually finally see the movie, because I've been wanting to for like a year now. My next challenge is to read a book with something green on the cover, and I have no idea why, but for some reason I own basically no books with green. Like, no books with green. There was a couple turquoisey books that I thought of like, oh, maybe you'll count-ish, but it felt like too much of a cop-out, so it became down to there was one that had a little bit of a green vine, one that had a green apple, and then I found this one. Because I only saw this, and I didn't think to pull it off the shelf, and then I was cleaning my shelf literally just like 15 minutes ago, and I pulled it off, and it was green. It was green. So for the green challenge, I'm going to be reading Wicked Little Secrets by Cara Taylor. Again, this is a series that I started ages ago. Totally forgot I even had this book, which is kind of an excitement as soon as you see something. It's like, oh my god, I forgot you existed. So it's about this girl who gets sent to a prep school, and the first one was all about a murder mystery that happened there, so there's a lot of layers of corruption and scandal within the administration, even among the student body. And so this is sort of the follow-up, dealing with the aftermath of them figuring out who the killer was and figuring out their relationship to the victim, who was her roommate. So it was actually really cool the way it panned out, and even the setting in a prep school. Definitely interesting because it's not this kind of shy-ish girl who doesn't belong going to this prestigious academy, which is a lot of the time what we read, but this is a high society girl who definitely fits into that world, kind of working her way through a school that she no longer owns this place. Now she's got to find her own popular standing. So it's cool to see that and see her interacting with all these other people. She's got wit and sarcasm. She's also a little bit wild. So it's neat to see how short her fuse is and then how she reacts to that and what she's willing to do, the length that she's willing to go, and then also coupling that with like, oh shit, I made a really, really big mistake and now we all have to come back from that. I'm hoping that it'll be kind of suspenseful and a lot of intrigue, so I'm excited about this one. Pick it back up. So the next challenge is to read a book entirely while wearing the same hat the whole time. Everybody seems incredibly excited about this, and I think it's a really cool and clever reading challenge that Ariel Bissett managed to come up with. But I don't really wear hats or have much in hats. There's a couple of fedoras that I got that I was like, had a hipster phase. And so for that reason, I will be wearing this hat the entire time that I will be reading By Your Side by Casey West. And I picked this one because it seems nice and short. Not because I don't like wearing the hats or the hat challenge, but because I will get uncomfortable in this pretty quickly. And also because I work all the time, it means that I can't do this challenge and read them when I have my off time at work. So I need something that I can get through on the hours that I am home. So it'll be fedora, and girl getting trapped in a library with a boy who she likes. The 6th BookTubeAthon reading challenge was to read a book with a beautiful spine. My immediate reaction was Famous Last Words by Katie Allender. This is not the book that I usually read, but I purchased it specifically because I really like the cover. It's got all the roses in the background, and I like the contrast between the words, so I was really excited, and like I said, I literally picked this because I thought it would look pretty on my shelf. The only problem is, I don't read ghost books. This is a ghost book. This is about a string of murders in LA and some ghost who I think helps this girl to solve them, but also might be like haunting her or possessing someone. I don't read ghost books because I'm that person who watches horror movies and then thinks about them for way too long and then continues to freak out long after the movie has ended. I have no problem with those fantasies about ghosts. If you're in some kind of ghost realm, Mortal Instruments and that kind of thing, if you throw ghosts in there, like, no problem, totally fine. I'd actually be really excited to read that book, but as soon as you take ghosts and you put them in the real world and you make it a little bit too realistic, then I start to freak out. So I don't really know how this is gonna go. I'm half thankful for BookTubeAthon for finally making me read it because it's been on my shelf for about 3 or more years now because I literally, like I said, picked it up just for the spine. And I stared at it on my shelf and I'm like, as soon as I got home, what did you do, Brittany? You do not read ghost books. You're not gonna read this book. And I was determined to actually read it. And I never did. So I don't know necessarily to say I'm excited. I'm a little bit apprehensive more so because I know from my sister who only reads ghost books, if she reads at all, that this author, Katie Allender, is supremely good at making a creepy ghost story. I'm hoping that I'll enjoy it. Either way, it'll be an experience. So we'll see how it goes. And the final challenge for BookTubeAthon's reading is to read 7 whole books. Now, here's the problem with that, is the fact that I have no time in my schedule. Under normal circumstances, I would probably be able to do it. I block off a chunk of time, but the way that my work schedule pans out for this week specifically is that my days off are only going to be this weekend right before it starts, and then as soon as BookTubeAthon starts, I'm working for the full 7 days. So I will be 10 to 6 with commute, takes about 10 hours out of my day, just working, and I don't really have as much time to read at work. I will hopefully be getting little chunks and stuff done. I have a hope, but I'm also a little bit afraid that I won't actually manage to get it, especially with the video challenges and stuff that I will also be attempting to do. But if I do manage to get to my 7th book, it will be The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson, which is the 2nd book in the Remnant Chronicles. If anybody has been here since way last year when I accidentally kind of went on a hiatus, I read Kiss of Deception for BookTubeAthon, and I absolutely adored it. Every minute of it, I loved the twists and the turns and the shock thing and the romance and the whole world, and I could not stop singing this book's praises. I ended up using it for the challenge for the cosplay of dressing up like one of the characters. I dressed up like Leah, and I've been wanting to read this one ever since I closed the final page of Kiss of Deception. And so I am beyond excited to actually be able to do this one. I had the brief fleeting thought of, oh my god, look, I read the first one for the first BookTubeAthon I did, and I'm reading the second one for my second BookTubeAthon. I'll just finish the series with my 3rd BookTubeAthon. The problem with that is that means I have to wait another year in order to read the 3rd one, and I am sorry, but that is not happening. Unless this accidental hiatus thing happens again, which I won't because I won't let it. See, and even the reviews, it is rare that the 2nd book in a series is as good or perhaps better than the 1st, but that's the case here. If it gets better than I don't even know how it can get better than Kiss of Deception. So if it gets better than Kiss of, I don't even know what I'll do. I might just sit there in like a reading coma for a couple solid days straight, like call in sick to work and be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I am currently hung up on a book hangover. You'll have to find somebody to replace me. Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm really excited about this one. And that is it for the reading challenges for the 2018 BookTubeAthon. Like I said, I will be giving this my best shot and hoping that I can get through it. Like I also said, it will probably be a little bit harder for me. My videos will probably come out later in the day. I won't have as much time to edit them, so I'm just gonna hope that they're good on the first try. I really want that certificate. Apparently there's supposed to be a certificate now that you can get this year if you complete all the challenges. So I'm gonna definitely work towards that, and I'm goal-oriented. I can do this if I try hard enough. Might be, you know, running on a little bit less sleep and driving the train around at the museum. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have read any of these books that I mentioned, let me know in the comments. Let me know what I should get excited about or what I shouldn't get excited about, or if you have any suggestions of ones that I should read or shouldn't read, particularly in the Reunited versus Royals, because I don't really know what I'm going to do in that case there. I would love to hear from the rest of you if anybody's seeing this, and I also want to see everybody else's BookTubeAthon videos, so I'm excited also not only to be filming my own, but to actually see what everybody else is reading and how they're all getting into it. So I guess that is the end of the video until about Monday when I pop back in here again with the first challenge. So until then, happy reading, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!